So today we're going to be taking a look at a scenario where the Roman Empire from What If Civilization Started Over was real. In this war scenario, the Roman Empire, which is from the WICSO series that I have here on the channel, will be coming to the modern day map and will be plopped down here in the center/southern area of Europe. And this is going to make for a super interesting scenario. So first of all, if you haven't seen the WICSO series, go watch it, or at least watch some of it because it's very long. Second of all, this is a very prominent country in that series. It's a very strong country, or it was. So this is it at its peak, and we're gonna see what happens. If you guys enjoyed today's video, make sure to leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you're new. All the support is greatly appreciated as we're trying to get to 200,000 subscribers. At this point, we're around 2,000 away, which you know is basically 1,900, and then that's basically 1,800, so on and so forth. We're really close, so make sure to help us out if you haven't already. And let's go ahead and jump straight into the scenario. All right, so Rome has just randomly appeared on the map. What exactly is the world going to think of this? Well, first of all, everyone is probably really angry about losing a bunch of land. Like poor Switzerland over here barely exists. We can fix that right on up though. And yeah, now Switzerland just doesn't exist. But the world is probably not too happy about this, and more specifically, NATO probably isn't too happy about this, but NATO's gonna have to deal with it because if they all declared war on Rome, let's just say that Rome would not last very long. So forget NATO, forget the EU, forget the UN, forget all of it. Rome here is going to be dealing in absolute. There's going to be no international organization that's going to try to stop them. So what do they do first? Well, to start off, WICSO Rome is going to declare war on Tunisia. This might seem strange to some of you, but for those who have watched this series, this might make a little bit more sense. But also, it's kind of a reference to in real life Rome, because there was the whole Rome versus Carthage that was kind of replicated in WICSO. So yeah, there are some realistic boundaries here as well, but mostly this is going off of what would have happened in the series. Maybe Rome feels like they should take out Tunisia and occupy them as Carthage. Anyway though, let's go ahead and take a look at this peace treaty between Rome and Tunisia. And this treaty is very simple. We just have Rome annexing the northern quadrant of Tunisia. They take over these specific provinces, and at this point they're feeling pretty happy. Now this version of Rome is from a period which had worse technology than our modern day period, so Rome is technically a little bit behind in the technology game. Additionally, the population in this country is going to be a lot less than you would think it would be, but as for the actual military, it would be on par with what we think it would be if, like, for example, Italy annexed all this land. So in all other assets other than military, Rome is behind the rest of the world, something that we might want to keep track of. Maybe, I mean, who's going to stop these guys? Let's be for real. Certainly not the Albanians, who are going to be attacked by Rome next. Another country that is fairly weak, I'm not throwing shade at Tunisia, but like comparing it to the invading power, Albania and Tunisia were pretty weak. Also Switzerland, extremely weak. Yeah though, Rome gave Albania a haircut. They didn't like the haircut, and then Albania insulted Rome, and then Rome just chopped their whole head off. So that's what we have happening here. That might have been a little bit graphic, but to put it in layman's terms, Rome annexes Albania. You might have also noticed I just colored in this little exclave in Serbia over here, which is going to warrant a response. So Serbia, who got divided up into 3 pieces, is all of a sudden dragged into a war with Rome. Now Rome knows that invading country after country is going to lead to some kind of coalition, maybe a democratic one. Rome doesn't necessarily want to fight a coalition, especially considering they have a bunch of different groups of countries mad at them. So first of all, they have the Western Europeans mad at them, and then going to war with and invading Serbia will make some Balkan countries mad at you, as well as, and more importantly, Russia. And then you also invaded Tunisia, which is going to have North Africa mad at you. So Rome definitely needs to watch what they're doing here. I mean, one wrong move and they could end up in a war or end up at the end of a coalition, which is definitely something that Rome doesn't want. So to counter that, Rome is going to be forming themselves an alliance with another country, and that country is the country of Romania. Now this might be a little bit surprising and may not make a whole lot of sense considering the fact that Romania and Serbia aren't necessarily hostile nations with each other in real life. In fact, I believe they're friendly. So when Romania joins the war on the side of Rome to help invade the rest of Serbia, there's a lot of countries that are confused. And at this point, the whole geopolitical order in Europe has just been thrown out the window. I mean, it was already thrown out the window when we got rid of NATO. So I guess we set it on fire before we threw it out the window. Anyway, in this treaty, we see that Rome is going to annex, first of all, this little exclave up here that Serbia had. And then they are going to be annexing the rest of southern Serbia, while Romania is going to get all of this area. So both countries expand land, Rome a little bit more than Romania, but that's because Rome did more in the war than Romania. But they now share a proper border with each other and can work to do any future military endeavors, like invading Hungary. Okay, so maybe the Western countries wouldn't be so mad about this particular war, because, you know, Hungary's a little rogue in the whole Western front. Like, their leader isn't the biggest fan of democracy. I mean, it still is a yeah, Hungary's weird. The only reason I say look it up is because if I try to explain it, then I'll probably say something wrong, and I don't want to misinform you guys, so it's better just to fact check me sometimes. Anyway, moving on from that, Hungary is dealt with very quickly by Roman and Romanian forces, and in the peace treaty, it looks like this. So Hungary basically gets split into two. Romania will get the eastern part over here, and then Rome will be annexing the rest of the West. All right, so far so good for Rome. They have taken over these countries without really anybody stopping them, and it's mostly because no one can stop them. What's France gonna do? I mean, France is probably still pretty strong at this point, but like they're severely weakened. Same with Germany after they lost all of Bavaria, and then like there's the UK who's all the way over here, and then like maybe you have Turkey, and then Spain. Spain lost Catalonia, which I'm not too sure how they would feel about that. I'm not even sure how the Catalonians would feel about that. But hey, anyway, time for a little bit of a WICSO history lesson. So if you haven't watched the series, this is going to be just a quick little fill-in. If you have watched it, then we're going to go ahead and rewind the tape here and check back a few episodes ago. I say a few episodes ago, it's more like 70 episodes ago. But in that series, Rome used to be a nomadic country that started all the way over here in Anatolia. They made their way through the southern Balkans and ended up forming an empire all the way over here in the Italian peninsula. So maybe the leader of Rome, who has suddenly found themselves in our world, is like, wait a minute, there's a bunch of weak countries where we used to, like, you know, preside. Let's go and annex our former territory, our former core territory where we started in our universe. So even though they didn't necessarily start here in this universe, well, through complicated measures, they did start in this. I'm sorry, the AdizzPro cinematic universe is very confusing sometimes. Basically, they want land over here because in their universe, this is where they were born. In other words, screw North Macedonia. What do they even do? Couldn't tell you. Goodbye, North Macedonia. Get ready to learn Purple East, buddy. And guess what? Bulgaria is catching these hands too. Just don't even try to fight back. I mean, it's the Roman Empire. Okay, am I overestimating the ability of Rome? Maybe a little bit. This is a lot of fighting, a lot of wars really quickly, which kind of goes against the whole point earlier of like Rome doesn't want to make any countries mad at them by invading other countries too quickly. But once again, who is going to stop them? We'll find out here shortly. All right, anyway though, we see that Rome and Romania are going to do some damage to Bulgaria over here. Romania will mostly be focused on annexing the northern provinces of Bulgaria. And then we have, okay, so first of all, I'm on the wrong layer. Anyway, like I was saying, Romania annexes the northern provinces of Bulgaria. And then we have Rome getting all of these southern provinces, connecting all the way over here to the Black Sea. Don't mind that, Turkey. Surely nothing bad will happen. Yeah, because it's happening to Greece. All right, so here's another little WICSO fun fact slash lore, more so fun fact. Greece and Rome in the series don't like each other. They are geographical rivals or regional rivals. So when the Romans start to invade into the Greeks, we see the sudden summoning of WICSO Greece into this universe. If Rome can magically appear, then so can Greece. And to clarify, this Greece is from the modern day WICSO map, meaning that this Greece is more technologically advanced than not only Rome, but the rest of the world. Does that mean they're the strongest country in the world? Of course not. In fact, they're probably still a little bit weaker than Rome, but due to their technologically advanced army, Rome is going to be suffering some defeats here. Also, the rest of the world is just scratching their head right now. I mean, what the hell? What do you mean two fictional countries just magically appeared? Oh wait, it is pro. Anyway, Greece is now invading into Roman territory, sort of. This is their territory because the borders of Greece and WICSO are different than the real life borders of Greece, as you can see very clearly. But they basically push back all of the Roman army to their own border, and this is mostly due to the fact that Rome is terrified of what has just occurred. Like, what do you mean? Is anyone else going to appear? Oh no. But in all actuality, this war would eventually start going bad for the Greeks because of, like I said earlier, the Roman army probably is larger and more capable than the Greeks, even though the Greeks are a little bit more advanced. I mean, look at Rome compared to the size of Greece. Let's be real here. Additionally, Romania is just baffled at this point. They don't know what is happening. All they do know, though, is that Greece has impeded on their territory, and that will cause them to start their reinvasion. The Romans will eventually reach all the way down here to the Aegean Sea. I've had a few people comment, like, the way I say Aegean. Is it Aegean? I'm pretty sure it's Aegean Sea. I'm not tripping, right? That was what I learned in history class. Anyway, Greece at this point is folding. We have the Romanians reaching all the way over here to Istanbul, where they are stopped by the Greek forces stationed in Anatolia. Meanwhile, though, we see that the Romans are, well, finishing off Greece. So those Anatolian soldiers are going to be stranded. Now, as far as like the naval stuff goes, I don't know if Greece they probably would have surrendered at this point, so maybe this wouldn't happen exactly, but Rome makes a landing in Anatolia. Then we have the Romanians Romans breaking through, and they meet up over here, and that's when we finally see that the Greeks surrender. So they get vanished back to their own universe, and Greece is fully annexed. Roman Empire actually looking kind of like the real Roman Empire at this point. In fact, maybe the Romans have come to this universe and they have looked at the history books and they're like, oh wow, this universe's Rome was a lot cooler. Let's try to form that. I mean, it's possible they definitely could do it. I mean, at this point, Rome is probably one of the strongest countries, if not the strongest country in Europe. And they also probably at this point have caught up with the modern technology of the world. Hopefully that doesn't entail nuclear bombs, because they did invade France, and I'm not too sure where France keeps their nuclear weapons at, but there's a chance some of them could be down here in this region. So maybe Rome is nuclear now, and that's deterring some countries from, getting involved with the fighting. So Rome is going to attempt to finish their historical empire at this point. They're going to invade into Turkey and take over, or they're going to want to take over the lands that are kind of west of the capital over here, Ankara, because that is historical Roman land from their universe. So the troops come pouring in, and by the way, Turkey is no laughingstock. This is Rome just absolutely battering them up. Battering them up. I don't think I've ever said that before. Those are like the first time those words have ever been muttered. But yeah, they're being battered up all right. What does that even mean? It is pure dominance by the Roman army, which at this point is officially one of the top armies in the world, only behind the likes of the USA, Russia, China, India, and who's number 5? South Korea? They're probably stronger than South Korea. Stronger than the UK as well. They're the 5th strongest, let's just say that. Turkey isn't the 5th strongest, they're like the 10th strongest, so to be fair, let's give Turkey a little bit of a chance here. They're gonna push back. We don't want to be completely unrealistic. I mean, this video is depicting a fictional country just magically appearing. Yeah, so Turkey has a massive counter-offensive, and this is pretty impressive. But the Kurds have just broken away. Turkey goes into a little bit of a, not really a civil war, more so of an ethnic rebellion, as the Romans do their best to support the Kurdish population, who is seeking to form themselves a sovereign state away from Turkey, and more so also away from Syrian and Iraqi rule. Now, the event of Kurdistan breaking away from Turkey would probably not end so well for them. First of all, because we're assuming that 1v1 versus Turkey, that would get smashed. But when you consider the fact that there are Kurdish populations in northern Syria and northern Iraq, these two countries don't want those populations in their country to get the idea of breaking away and forming their own country. So maybe what we would see is, surprisingly, Syria and Iraq joining the war on the side of Turkey to take down Kurdistan, because once again, they don't want the Kurdish population in their countries breaking away. However, I say no. And that's mostly because Rome is here. And I think these two countries would know that Rome would probably try to ally with the Kurds because they have a common enemy at this point. And if Rome were to take over all of Turkey, which they don't know if that's what they're doing, then Rome would share a border with Syria. And yeah, Rome would take out Syria very easily. So they just want to, not get involved in the war. They're good. So the Roman army will start to re-emerge into Turkey, and they will immediately retake Ankara. This is an embarrassing defeat for the Turkish army. But what isn't an embarrassing defeat is over here in the Kurdish area, where the Turks start to get rid of the insurgents in this area. But they are kind of winning a losing war at this point because the Romans are here. They're like right there. You might want to fight back against them instead. Oh, now the Kurds are pushing back. Critical failure for Turkey here, and basically the Romans meet up with the Kurds. They do in fact take over this area, so that reinforces Syria's decision to not get involved in this war, which could hurt them either way because now the Kurds up north are going to want to break away. Anyway though, Turkey will surrender over to Roman forces, and we can take a look at this peace treaty. Alright, in this peace treaty we see that Turkey loses all of the western area of Anatolia. They also lose their capital city, which could be a huge loss, and they also lose Istanbul, which is a huge loss. The country does still exist though, although very weakened and probably very irrelevant now. But also, notably, Kurdistan is here, so that's cool. We finally see the nation of Kurdistan get its state. But yeah, Rome has done everything they wanted to do so far, with absolutely no resistance. Germany, France, and Spain all declare war on Rome, because at this point, they want their own land back. It's pretty simple. Spain wants Catalonia, France wants all of southern France, and Germany wants Bavaria. That's not too much to ask for. I mean, I think that's fair. Will they be able to win in this war? Let's find out. Spanish forces will enter into Catalonia, which they are not welcomed in, and French forces will move into southern France, where they also are not welcomed. The Germans will move into Bavaria, where they also aren't welcomed, and the Netherlands will sink into the ocean. Now, Rome isn't going to just sit around and allow for these Western European countries to simply invade them. No, they're not. So Rome is going to set up a little bit, wait a minute. Whoa. But they're not going to let this happen. They're going to set up a defensive using the Alp Mountains, and they're also going to set up a defensive in the mountain range down here in the south, which divides France and Spain. So these two front lines aren't going to be moving anytime soon. And then there's the front line with Germany, which can also be settled with the use of the Alp Mountains. So Rome has kind of locked themselves in geographically to a point to where these nations can't invade any further. The Roman military is better than all of these individual armies, but combined together, the armies of France, Germany, and Spain might be on par with, if not maybe better than Rome. I'm not too sure. That I have a feeling they'd be a little bit weaker though. That's just my opinion, considering the land that they've lost, of course. But yeah, with Spain and Germany mostly isolated by mountain ranges, Rome is going to 1v1 France, and that's a 1v1 that France definitely doesn't want. Roman forces will start to enter into French territory, and it becomes very clear as to where they are destined to go. Not because the Romans are invading, but because it is in the nature of the French to quickly surrender when the capital falls. So France just surrenders, and Germany and Spain are like, bro. Now though, Rome is going to go ahead and reveal some secret allies that they've had all of this time. One is Norway, and the other is Poland. Secretly, these four countries have all been conspiring together for no particular reason at all, and the time is officially right, so Norway and Poland will be focused on jumping Germany, while the Romans focus on Spain. Ay caramba. No, literally. Turns out forming that little coalition against Rome may not have been the best of ideas. Now the Romans are bunching towards your capital, and hey, the Romans have taken your capital. Put simply, Spain knows that they are unable to push back the Romans, so Spain is going to surrender over to Rome as well, and Germany's a little bit mad about this, because like, damn, I mean, come on now. The Norwegians have landed in the Dutch shores, the Polish have occupied Berlin, and Bavaria is speaking Roman. All around, this is a pretty horrible day for Germany. Eventually, the Germans will be so overwhelmed that they also have to surrender, and this coalition by the democratic nations was a very short-lived one. These willing countries were just unprepared. They got slapped. It kind of helped Rome that they had some secret allies the whole time, but yeah, so just don't mess with Rome ever again. I think that's fair. Let's take a look at this peace treaty. And in the Treaty of Prague, we see that, well, Western Europe is ruined. First of all, the Romans are annexing this portion of Spain, which is a very hefty chunk of it, going all the way down over here to the Strait of Gibraltar. So Rome, at this point, is actually the real Roman Empire. Pretty impressive. But to add more on to that, they annex the southwestern portion of France, leaving them very weakened. They also take over the Alsace-Lorraine area, and then this area of Germany, which I can't name off the top of my head. Yeah, this is definitely like the Roman Empire at this point. Can we just call it the real Roman Empire? They've basically done it. When I started recording this video, this wasn't my plan, but it just kind of happened. Anyway, up here in the north, we see that Norway gets a little bit of a little bit right here. This is a nice little bit of little bit. And then we see Poland gets this. I don't know why my brain just stopped working there. They get the eastern portion of Germany. Germany is very weak, very small, very HREE looking. Maybe them as well as the remainder of the countries over here in Western Europe would try to form some kind of anti-Roman order, but this could just make them even more of a target, so probably not the best of ideas, but I mean, look, it looks kind of cool, I guess. Same thing with Central Europe. I mean, these guys are screwed. Let's be honest. These guys are going to get divided up. I mean, look, it's already divided up. You annex that, you annex this, and then, well, I guess you can also annex this because that would look horrible if you annexed it. Here, you can have that as a makeup. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video on what if Rome from WICSO existed in real life, or was real, whatever you want to call it. What if Rome was Rome? If you guys enjoyed today's video, make sure to leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you're new, because that helps us to reach our goal of 000, dyslexia, maybe 200,000 subscribers. We're trying to get there very soon. We've been waiting for a very long time. So if you are new around here and you have liked the video, or if you want to watch other videos and you like them as well, it would be very, very appreciated if you showed some support by subscribing to the channel. If you are already subscribed, of course, leaving a like on the video, commenting down below with your suggestions and your input helps us out, as well as sharing the video with anyone who might be interested. And also hitting the bell. I never say this, but having notifications on for the channel is also super, super awesome, because you get notified as soon as I post videos. And now for my last little bit of asking for support, I promise I'm almost done. There is the channel membership option, which gives you early access to every single one of my videos. So if you want early access to like WICSO videos, for example, you don't want to wait for 11 a.m. every Saturday, the channel membership program might be for you. You also get special perks in our Discord server. You should also join that Discord server if you haven't already. It's pretty fun sometimes. Most of the times. We have a mock government going on there, which is like, we have people that can be elected into positions of power. Elections are coming up pretty soon there, so if you're interested in that kind of stuff, the mock governments and all that, make sure to join the Discord server and participate in that, because it's super fun. Anyway, that's going to do it for me asking for support. So once again, if you guys did enjoy today's video, make sure to do all of that. And I want to thank you all once again for watching. We're getting super close to 200K, and I cannot thank you enough for all of the support so far. But yeah, I'll see you all in the next video. And of course, thank you to all our super fans.
This includes Aiden Shank,
Icy Static FN,
See What I Do,
I Ain't Lying,
XanderPro, CTG on YT,
Euroball,
Bren,
Jazzy Jerboa,
Green France Mapping,
Nevada Garbage Trucks,
Vista, Knighthood 7353,
and Golden Ball Mapping,
Ozgeo,
Ixco,
Augusto,
A Norwegian,
RS,
Gail Martinez,
Zaylance,
Polly Edits,
Laser Taze,
Pablo Sigma Cat,
Death Strider X,
Hammertoad 45,
and DW Cool Dude. Once again, thank you guys.